Hey, today's episode is to all of you who think you have too many cameras, because I don't think you do. We film photographers, we are lucky. We have so many different cameras to choose from, and they are all very different depending on the era the camera is from, the film size, the characteristics. Makes it interesting to try different cameras and own different cameras, because there are some aspects in each and every one of them that is different from the other one. And I'm after those differences. I think I love cameras that have some quirks and some even problems, and learning how to use those challenges to create interesting photographs. Now, to me, a camera is good if it does something differently than another camera, if it has some unique characteristics. And the funny thing is that, at least for me, pretty often those unique characteristics are limitations, even shortcomings. You know, sometimes it is that the camera was badly designed from the get-go, or it was built using bad materials. Some cameras I use in a wrong way to compromise them intentionally. And that then creates, if I'm lucky, something interesting. Now, often these faults first feel like an obstacle, but then if you go deeper, you find interesting ways of taking photographs. And to me, some of these limitations, some of these shortcomings have really taught me photography. So I'd like to call these shortcomings or differences a particular superpower of a camera. And I claim that almost every camera has one or two superpowers, something that it does differently than any other camera, and finding those superpowers and then pushing them to the max. I find that really interesting. Let me show you a few examples where you could do that. Let's first take a Holga. This is obviously a cheap camera, cheap hard plastic. The design is so and so, but I think even beyond that is the materials that are really bad. And I think the biggest shortcoming, therefore a superpower of this camera, is the lens. It's really soft at the edges, a lot of vignetting, a little bit better at the middle. But this now allows me to create timeless pictures that have certain softness in them, and this softness almost like creates an atmosphere into those pictures that I can't do with any other camera. So let's see how I can use the shortcomings of a Holga and turn them into superpowers. So this is what cheap materials can do. Now, then there are cameras that are almost trying to do too much, and then they hit the brick wall. Here I have a Kiev 60 with a Zodiak 8 30mm fisheye lens. And with such a wide-angle fisheye lens, you start to meet the laws of physics, and also the bad lens design contributes to that all lines are curved. I think it's called barrel distortion, when nothing is straight anymore and you get a lot of twisted lines, twisted angles in your images. Now, some people consider that a fault, but to me that is a superpower of a Kiev, because now I can create with a Kiev air into my pictures and the feeling of space that I can't do with any other camera that I own. Therefore, that is the superpower of a Kiev. And then in addition to that space that I can create, I can also prove that the Earth is not flat, but it's actually curvy. Then I can create self-inflicted problems for the camera. Almost like breaking it apart. Let me show you what I mean. This is a Graflex RB Series B, an old 4x5 large format sheet film camera. And what I love to do with this one is to remove the lens. And then, this is not a fault. It sounds like a fault, but I'm just engaging the shutter. Now, I take pictures using a free lensing technique, which means that I keep the lens in my right hand and the camera in my left hand. And then I don't connect these. I create light leaks, I create all kind of unfocused areas and blur into my pictures as I'm holding the lens in front of the camera and tilting and twisting it. And then I focus through the viewfinder. I can somewhat control the light leaks, but not entirely. And then I take the pitch. Now it seems to me though that most people want a camera that always performs perfectly, always crystal clear sharp images, even using evil technologies such as AI to produce those picture perfect pictures. But I'm not that person. I'm always after challenges and after limitations. And the most limiting camera is a pinhole camera. It is probably the most simple camera you can have. It doesn't even have a lens. There's just a tiny hole through which light goes through. And there are at least 3 major challenges with the pinhole camera. Now, first of all, there's no lens, so everything in your picture is gonna be a bit soft. Then there's this small hole for the light, and it means that the f number is extremely big. F 150, 160, which then means that the exposure times become very long. Minutes up to hours. And what does that then mean? Anything that moves is gonna be blurry. You can't really shoot anything fast and stop that fast thing in your picture. And then last but not least, the challenge is that with the big f number you can't control the focus area. Everything is going to be in focus as much as it is in the pinhole camera, meaning anything from 1 centimeter to infinity is going to be in focus. Now, that's a good example of 3 limitations that a pinhole camera has, but those are also superpowers that allows me to create compositions that I can't do with any other camera. So I went on a lake. Now I finally got my boat on the lake and wanted to take some pinhole pictures where I explicitly use those 3 limitations. Soft pictures, freezing the movement, unlimited focus area. So listen, I'm not after a perfect camera. A perfect camera doesn't interest me a bit. I'm after cameras that I can even modify, like taking the lens off, extremely limited cameras, cameras with inbuilt faults, or cameras that are simply trying a little bit too much. And using all those shortcomings to turn them into superpowers. And I believe that almost each and every camera has a shortcoming that you can explore and go deeper. And then turn that into your own superpower in your own work. And now, that's why I think we need so many cameras. And that's why I think that every camera is a good camera. Now, if you say that you need a better camera to take better pictures, I suggest that you think twice, because I think a bad camera would actually push you further than a good camera. And on that, it's good to end. Thanks for joining. Next time, something else.